If you are like me, which you might hope not to be true, and you will certainly not be held in any great contempt for doing so, then you might be a person prone to asking that most exasperating and sideways glance-provoking of questions, as Chris already said. Why? My mother will most certainly attest to this, as it seemed that every request she asked of me, and I am sad to say it still tends to happen, was met with a stubborn and oppositional, but why? Taylor, please go mow the lawn. But why? Cue sideways glance. But alas, time has not seemed to relieve me of this tendency, and so when I began to write my speech on the importance of Thanksgiving drive and its meaning to me, I cannot seem to get past this question. Why? Why is this important? Why is it meaningful? Why do we devote so much time and energy to this endeavor? You might have had a similar thought at 4:30 this morning when your alarm was reminding you that you had signed up to go shopping, or when you were parting with your $10 in homeroom, or you might again when you get into your cars to deliver the Thanksgiving baskets instead of to return to your warm homes, comforted by a cup of hot cocoa and the Breaking Bad marathon you've been planning on watching. And yet here we are, and more importantly, here you are, in full force. But in case the question still lingers, I prepared a few thoughts that may help to satisfy your curiosity. Two thirsty monkeys came to a pond in the middle of the jungle. The first, a large and powerful monkey who had all of the best bananas and always slept in the sturdiest and breeziest trees, bent down to have a drink of water. But he stopped suddenly, seeing another monkey in the pond, barring his way. The thirsty monkey became very angry and thrashed and screamed at the monkey in the pond who was preventing his drink, and became so angry that he jumped into the pond to attack the other monkey and drowned. The second, observing the scene from the other side, glanced down into the pond, similarly saw a monkey in the water, and stared at it for a bit. He then dropped the banana in the pond for this monkey to eat, thinking that it may be hungry, seeing it has only lived in ponds, and bananas most certainly do not grow there. To his surprise, the monkey in the pond disappeared momentarily, and we stooped down to get his drink. He then went on his way, a much less thirsty monkey, and all the better for it. The story of these two monkeys is intended to illustrate the importance of compassion, or empathy, and of giving. In fact, these concepts are so important as to be the foundational component of what makes us essentially human. And even further, they are how and why we are called to be Christians. That is, as put in the Jesuit high school tradition, to be men of faith and men for others. Because you must understand that these two ideals, being men of faith and being men for others, are inseparable and mutually dependent on each other. Here's why. The French Enlightenment philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau states in his discourse on the origin of inequality among men that humanity begins with compassion. That is, with the recognition that in each other there is a self, an I, an individual person who can feel and see and experience. And further, that each of you, as humans, is able to see in every other person someone who can hurt and cry and love in the same way that you can hurt and cry and love. Call to mind the words that you have heard so often, that we are made in the image and likeness of God, that we all share a common origin in God, and in this origin are united as one. Therefore, when you see another, you are seeing a reflection of yourself, both of you having been made in the image of God. Now, I know the story I told was about monkeys, and that monkeys do not have the same ability to recognize personhood as humans do. But I'd like to put that aside for a moment and return to those subjects. Please also remember, though monkeys are by no means the dumbest animals, they most certainly have not developed theories of quantum mechanics, nor written any epic poetry. Please do not hold this against them in this story. The first monkey clearly did not recognize in his reflection that there was another monkey present who might have the same needs and desires that he had. He did not understand that his reflection was that of an individual, a self, of himself, in fact. He saw only an impediment to getting what he wanted. He chose to fight this impediment to no avail and died in his effort. The second monkey, on the other hand, stopped for a moment to realize that this other monkey in the water could have similar desires. That his presence was not some object preventing him from getting his way, but was actually a reflection, a likeness of himself. That they were both the same and could have the same desires and needs. Further, by giving part of himself to this monkey in the water, the thirsty monkey was able to drink from the pond. He did not merely throw in the banana and retreat from the pond, further distancing himself from the monkey in the water, but in giving a part of himself to the other monkey, he could then breach the distance that separated them and be nourished. Perhaps he approached the pond with the intention of fulfilling his own needs. But by placing this self-concerned intention aside and seeing first the need of the other, he was able to achieve his own goals. Each of us approaches and lives life with needs and desires. Some have more than others, and some have less. Today, we approach the pond uninhibited by our self-concern. And through this mindset, we're able to see that in the pond is not something other that is preventing us from being comfortable or taking from us what is rightfully ours, but another person, an individual who has needs and desires and feelings, much the same as our own. We give ourselves to that other person because by doing so, we become united. We are nourished and nourish the other. We live out our true calling as human beings and as Christians, thereby fulfilling the common vocation we all share in the mission set before each of us by God. We become men of faith, recognizing that we are all made in the image and likeness of one true God by living as men for others. Thank you.